Hello. So, for a lot of the people who say that we don't have the issues in our industry that I talk about in terms of not being able to get parts, not being able to get diagrams, not being able to get diagnostic tools and software, and the biggest problem of all, which I talked about in that reflowing is BS video, which is that we're not taken seriously by the manufacturer, therefore nobody sees it as an issue. For a lot of the people who don't think that these issues exist or that I'm making them up, I would suggest that you look at some of the links that I'm posting in the description, and I want you to read these posts, particularly the post by somebody named Oneness, and I want you to come to your own conclusions. I'm not really gonna, say a lot here. So, again, one of the funniest ones to me is where I said, well, when I say that Apple doesn't understand a lot of how to fix their own products, he'll say that that's ridiculous. So I'll point out one issue with one of their products where throughout the recall period they never figured out the cause of the problem, and some dude who works out of his garage in the Netherlands did, and he based it on logic and facts and pattern recognition, which is the same thing that I'm often using and that he's been using for a lot longer than I have to solve a lot of these basic problems. And he said, well, he huge like 6-10 paragraph post on how I'm a retard, how it's a bad batch of GPUs, blah blah blah. And I said, okay, so I'm a retard, right? So if you say it's a bad graphics chip, and I say that it's a component next to the graphics chip, and I replace the thing next to the graphics chip, I reuse the old one, I don't touch it, and now it works perfectly for years and years. Like, I can run Furmark on that thing for 72 hours straight, and it works. Am I a retard for not replacing the component that's not bad? I mean, there's this, and this is one of the things that I talk about here, is that if independent service centers were able to speak with the manufacturer and vice versa, maybe somebody in 2008 or 9 would have said, hey, you guys got to stop using tantalum on your buck converters for your 1.05 or 1.5 and 7 volt rails because it's a bad idea. And Apple may look at us and say, hey, dudes, I know that you want to, I know that you want to get these repairs done as quick as possible, but you really have to stop using this adhesive because it's causing stuff to fall apart. Like, yeah, you kind of see how that would be better for the end consumer. You kind of understand how the end consumer would have a better experience because the end consumer is what a lot of this is really about. A lot of what we're doing, what Apple is doing is trying to provide the best end consumer experience. What I'm trying to do is provide the best end consumer experience. At the end of the day, we're doing our best to ensure that when people buy an Apple product, that when they screw it up, that they have options to service it that don't suck. Um, as weird as it is, Apple and the independent repair community, we both have the same goal. When Apple services their products, they want Apple to look as good as possible. When we service their products, we want ourselves to look as good as possible. However, to make ourselves look as good as possible, we have to make the product work as good as possible. You understand? So we both kind of have the same goal. So it's kind of weird that we're always kind of arguing and not working together on anything. But the point of this video, the point is, for those of you who think that there is not a prevalent problem, I want you to read every single one of that guy's posts. Oneness's in particular, because there are a lot that express the same kind of the same ideas as his. But a lot of people, like when I have these discussions, they don't think that people with Oneness's ideas exist. They don't think that that there's that there's any issue that they don't think that people think like that person does. And the whole thing here is that there are a lot of people that think the way he does, or she. I shouldn't say he. This is and I mean, just read it. Like, read it all, and you'll understand what it is we're up against. You'll understand what the independent repair community is up against. We are all seen as jokes. And, it's sad. I mean, I've been waiting for Jessa to send me some examples. Actually, she did send me some examples. This is a great video to include them in. This is stuff that I know is just going to really piss a lot of people off. I mean, let's see. I have to try to resize this window so that you don't see the rest of my Gmail. And, man, I have no idea how to do that. Here we go. Okay. Any luck? With any luck, I don't wind up regretting showing you shit that I'm not supposed to show you. Okay, let's see. What can I do here? Alright, so Magewell screen, here we go. Okay. Hi, Jessa Burdett, and an iPad Rehab. Thanks for participating in the Apple support communities. We've removed your post, how do I clean the charging port on my iPhone 6, because it contained advertising. And let's see. This is what Apple said. This is what she said, I believe. I think they are seeking advice on how to solve a problem. Why won't my phone charge? As someone who fixes iPhones all day, every day, and has seen thousands of cases that do not charge, the likelihood that this phone's charging problem is lint is about 30%. The other possibilities are a bad dock connector, 20%, and a bad charging logic IC on the board, 50%. I have nothing to gain whether or not this guy goes to someone who can actually help him fix his phone or the Apple Store. I'm not an advocate for customers, and I do my best to steer everyone towards the right repair for their device and situations. Cat, stop that. If someone came to my shop with belly button lint, I would show them their port under the microscope and remove the lint for free. I also maintain a microscope in the front of the shop that says DIY belly button lint station, which only Jess would do. If their phone still had a charging problem, I would solve it. If you look at my business, you will see that every repair we take is no fix, no fee. I do not profit from taking people's phones apart for fun. You'll also see that I have a strong reputation for delivering quality repair for thousands of devices from all over the world. My goal is to help people and empower people and to find the most affordable, robust repair to extend the lives of their devices. So this is just one example of many. So Jessa was posting on the Apple support community forums, and I'm not kidding. Like, she made posts saying, okay, it's not charging. She would say, what is the history of the device? Like she always asks, if you've been to her class or you've talked to her in person or on a forum, that's what she does. So she would talk to people and ask them that on the Apple support community forum. That you go, okay, how about this? Check your charging port for lint, which is a serious, common, basic issue that you should troubleshoot if you're having a problem charging your phone. And her posts were getting deleted off of the Apple support community forums, or Apple community support forums, because her answer was something other than, you need to go to an Apple store. And do you understand how this is a problem? Do you understand the culture that we're dealing with? Where, like, I am not allowed to post on a forum and say, hey, maybe you should try removing the lint from your charging port with a toothpick before you make a 2-hour round trip drive to the nearest Apple store. Or if you live in some place like Lebanon, your $1,200 6-hour flight to the closest Apple authorized service center. This is the type of common sense that will actually get you banned because your answer was not, you go to an Apple store. And when I talk about things like Apple being, like the Apple community being a cult, and when I talk about, people use the word cult, I mean, you would actually rather delete somebody's reply and ban them than simply admit the fact that looking in your charging port to remove lint from your charging port before you go to the Apple store is a good idea. Because, like, people who are members of this cult, and I'm not saying all Apple users are a member of the cult, by the way. I'm not saying if you buy and enjoy Apple products and they make you productive, go ahead and do that. But there are a select few that are a member of the cult, and the person who deleted Jess's post in this forum is part of that cult. It is a cult to say, you are not allowed to tell people that they should remove dust from the charge port. You must tell them to go to the Apple store. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Another one. So let's see here. So there's one comment that Jessa made on that 1970s battery glitch. So, again, if you set the date of your phone to a certain date, this was silly. This was one of the... I didn't know a lot about this because I don't own an iPhone. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice here. So, if you set your phone to a certain date, it would screw everything up and fuck everything up, and it wouldn't work. And you could easily fix this by unplugging the battery and plugging it in. Now, what Jessa said is that you can unplug the battery and then plug it back in to solve this problem. And that's a perfectly valid answer, because when you unplug the battery and plug it back in, it does solve the problem. I had, for one day, I had all these posts on my channel. And all these posts were coming in from this guy saying something like, if you want to unlock the retro theme on your iPhone, if you want to see the retro theme, then what you need to do is set it to this retro day. And I didn't really get what was going on. And then I realized eventually that this was this in-depth trolling fest that he was doing by getting everybody to do that, and then when you would do that, it would brick your phone. Now, a lot of people would say, well, you opened your phone to unplug the battery. You voided the warranty. And what I would say there is, well, a lot of people who have this issue are out of warranty. A lot of people are not within warranty anyway. You also have to realize that a lot of people who own an iPhone, again, live a 6-hour, $1,200 flight away from the nearest Apple store. So for them, the idea that they should simply take 2 screws out of their phone and then take another 2 screws out of their phone, go clink with their fingernail, and boop with their fingernail to put the battery back in, is a totally acceptable practice, an acceptable thing to do. And, one of the things that was very often recommended when I was a BlackBerry owner, I used to be on the Crackberry forums almost like 10 years ago, probably 8 years ago, was recommended when you had certain issues to unplug the battery. It was not unheard of to simply pop the battery out of your phone to solve a lot of problems. And I understand the iPhone has an internal battery, and I understand that people may not think that it's as easy to do and whatever, but it's not really something where you should, again, if I suggest, hey, your phone has an issue because the manufacturer of the device designed it like a fucking idiot, and to undo that, what you can do is you can unplug the battery and plug it back in. If I don't use the words, the manufacturer designed it like a fucking idiot, that post should be allowed to stick on a forum. What I've done is I've posted a legitimate solution to a problem. But because that solution was not within the specific guidelines of the cult members that run the Apple Community Support Forum, it gets deleted. And that's, again, it's just really, really silly, really, really dumb. There's more of them here. Let's see. So there's a... Oh, man, this is... Yeah, so this is another one where I think she got her shit deleted because she went above and beyond to suggest that somebody remove the battery. There's probably a lot here that I should be deleting, but hopefully Jessa doesn't kill me for showing you all of her email. Oh, here we go. God forbid you replace a home button on a 4S. Again, this is a phone that, like, Apple is most likely not even going to be touching anymore. So, Jessa posted, the 4S home button attaches to the phone with a small flex and connector. In older phones, the tiny plastic nub that gives the phone its clickiness becomes worn down. Replacing the button is entirely possible. Find a quality independent repair shop to swap the button for you. If you don't feel like investing in repair, many people just live with it and enable assistive touch, settings, general accessibility, which will create a software-based home button on the screen. This is a 110% acceptable post to somebody who says, my button's not clicking anymore. What should I do? And it said that over here it says, we've removed your post because it contains some questionable advice. What the fuck is questionable? The button doesn't work. Let's replace the button that doesn't work. If the button doesn't work, then let's use the feature that Apple designed and put into the fucking phone in the general accessibility menu to allow the button to work. How the fuck is that questionable? That is a feature that is built into the fucking iPhone by the people who manufactured the fucking iPhone. And, this is... do you understand what type of sick cult mentality you have to have here to suggest that it is questionable to tell somebody that they replaced the button on a phone that came out 5 fucking years ago? The iPhone 4S came out 5 years ago. It is a 5-year-old phone. I can buy that shit on Craigslist right now for $45 working if I wanted to. Why? Like, it's an antique. It's history. It's part of our history. Like, there's no why would anybody bring an iPhone 4S to an Apple store to swap it out under some $149, $199, or $249 deal where they give you a refurbished phone for literally 5 times the worth of it? And again, just in terms of general serviceability, if one button dies on a device, like, have we really truly become a country of people that if a button dies on what is otherwise a supercomputer that sits in our pocket, that we're going to say, oh, fuck it, it's worthless, it's garbage because of a fucking button? It's this, like, I mean, I could go through this entire thing, but if I just keep doing this, this is just going to, like, oh man, this is the thread of an iPhone 5 with an image clock line problem. I explained what that is, and it was either the line getting messed up in the LCD itself, or a misseated connector, or a bad. The post was deleted. And keep in mind that iPhone 5 out of warranty replacement is $279 for a phone worth less than $150. And here's the thing. I understand that Apple pays a certain amount of money for the parts. I understand that, Apple cannot provide a customer with an iPhone 4S for $30 just because it is worth $49 on Craigslist. I know, Clinton, it's bullshit. Come up here. You don't want to be on camera? Then shush! I understand that. I understand the reality is that just because a device is worth less doesn't necessarily mean that they can be manufactured for what it is now worth. At the same time, I'm not going to criticize Apple for that. I'm not going to criticize them for replacing an iPhone 5 for $279 rather than providing it for the $150 that it's worth used. What I'm going to criticize is the idea that we are going to delete posts from people who suggest that you fix a broken device with a broken button by replacing the broken button. That's a perfectly understandable thing for somebody to do. I've really kind of lost what my original point is here. I guess it's that, there are so many people that stick up for Apple when it's over things that are just illogical completely. Like, if you want to use an Apple product because it makes you productive, I fully support you with that. If you want to use an Apple product because you enjoy it more, I fully support that. If you want to use an Apple product because fuck it, you just like the way it looks and it's cool, I support that. Enjoy it. Have fun with it. But when a company tells you that when a button is broken, that you are giving out questionable advice by suggesting that somebody replace a button, that's bullshit. When somebody tells you that, if your charging port is not working on your device, that maybe you should look at your charge port and see if there's a piece of lint in it, and if there is a piece of lint in it, remove that piece of lint with a toothpick, and you actually delete that because you think it is bad, just because that is different than go to an Apple store, that's bullshit. The video I did on why I don't use Apple products was a bit tongue-in-cheek because my friend's post was very tongue-in-cheek and a lot of people took it a little bit more serious than they should have. But the point in that video that I had was that you don't get anywhere by being a fanboy of a product. And a fanboy of a product is not somebody who likes the product, but rather is somebody who will not criticize when the company that manufactures the product they like does something incredibly stupid. I love IBM personal computers. I love IBM laptops. I love Lenovo laptops because they took over where IBM left off. I think they're great machines in many ways, and they are my personal favorite if I am going to buy a pre-built computer today. I love the ThinkPad series. But when they do something stupid, like decide we're going to remove the buttons for the trackpad and turn it into the fucking BlackBerry Storm of 2014, I'm not going to say, yay, thank you for ruining my machine because I love your stuff anyway. No, I'm going to say that what you've done is dumb, and I'm probably not going to be very nice about it. When you decide to remove my discrete volume buttons, I'm not going to be very nice about it. When you decide to remove my play and previous track and next track buttons for no reason, and when you decide to just make the device crappier, I'm not going to be nice about it. So which is why I don't understand when Apple says, hey, you can't replace a button. Why is everybody nice about it? When Apple says, hey, you cannot have I know that this is the number one most common thing to happen to an iPhone, getting dropped and screen cracked, but If you go to somebody else, we're going to make sure that they don't have anything they need to do their job. I don't understand why you're happy about that. When they say, not only are we going to suggest you don't replace the button, we're going to make it so that if somebody else replaces the button, that it destroys your phone. And we're not going to tell you that beforehand. And we're not going to inform the independent repair shops beforehand. I don't understand how it is anybody sees this as good. This is not good. You should not support when a company says you need to come to our store for us to fix your problem under our silly system, rather than use a toothpick to remove lint from a charging port. Regardless of whether you like their products, this is bullshit. The same way it's bullshit when Lenovo releases a touchpad with no fucking buttons, and they do it in a worse manner than the BlackBerry Storm. It doesn't matter how much I like their products. It doesn't matter how much I think their products are amazing. They did something dumb. And because they did something dumb, that doesn't mean I'm never going to buy their stuff again, but I'm not going to sit here quiet and nice about it. The reason is because I wanted to change. I want to see positive change. And the way positive change is going to come about is if we don't sit here and go, thank you for screwing us, screw us some more. That's no good ever comes of that. No good ever comes from being satisfied when you get fucked in the ass and you just you just bend over and take it again. That's not how anything's going to change. So even if you like the product, I would like you to put aside your love of the product for a second to really look within and honestly ask yourself if this is the type of behavior, if this is what you support. And if it's not, you can still like the product. You can still like the operating system. You can still like the hardware. You can still like the ecosystem. You can still like the software. You can still think, oh, that's great. But that this little part is bullshit. And what I'm getting from a lot of people is that they don't support a lot of the independent repair community because they take it as anti-Apple. They take it as anti-Apple as a whole. And I think that's where the issue is here. See, I also think I'm a part of this issue. Because, you see, I don't use Apple products because personally I don't like a lot of them. I don't. There are certain specific uses where I would use a Mac over something else. I mean, again, if David Bowie were to come back to life for 20 minutes and I have like that much time to record You've Been Around and I can't record it again because in 20 minutes he's going back in the ground, there is no way in hell I'm using a Windows computer to do that. Like, no, get the fuck out of here. I'm not trusting it. But, for most things, I prefer using Linux on PC hardware. I don't like, I'm not an iPhone person. I'm a type of person that if I have if there's a zip file with drivers that I need to take from one computer to the other, and one of them is not online, and I forgot my USB flash drive, I like the idea that I can use my phone as a flash drive. Like, I'm one of those people that, just because of the way I use technology, I'm just never going to be an Apple person. So a lot of people will see that I'm saying things against Apple repair, against how Apple deals with customers and against how Apple deals with repairs. And then they'll tie that together with the fact that I don't like Apple products, and they'll think that I'm bashing one because of the other. And the reality is that the two actually have nothing to do with one another. The part of me that doesn't use Apple products as a consumer, and the part of me that doesn't like what Apple does as a professional that works in repair, totally different, totally separate things. So, I realize that I have not been a good part of separating the two. And, a lot of what people, when people are against independent repair, when people are like, well, Apple did something right, when they said you can't replace the button. When people say, well, Apple's right, you probably shouldn't be cleaning out your own charging port lint. You should be going to the Genius Bar and paying $100 to $200 for that. What I'm saying here is, I think people are tying together their love of the product for their love of how the company treats them, and that's dangerous. Because again, you can love a product, you can love the way it works, you can love the way it's designed, while simultaneously thinking it's bullshit when the company who designed that product says, I know that we designed this computer to fail, I know we designed this computer very poorly, and we're not going to replace it until there's over 20,000 people who want to class action sue us, but screw you. Again, like with the 2011 graphics chip issue, like, you can love the product, right? You can love the product while simultaneously disliking how Apple treated you. They are separate. You can separate the two. You can separate what you think of the company, what you think of how they treat their users, and their products. Like, again, I can be a fan of Lenovo's products while simultaneously thinking a lot of the things they do are really fucking dumb. And you can be a fan of Apple products while, again, you can be a total fan of Apple products and that they're amazing and love them and enjoy them while simultaneously realizing that deleting people's posts because they're telling people to remove charging port lint is bullshit. So yeah, this is a little bit of what we deal with. And when you see how I talk in these videos, like reflowing is bullshit, and you see how irritated I get at people who have 2.4 million subscribers who preach myths, it's not because of jealousy for the people who have more subscribers. Like, again, I don't. If you meet me in person and you've met me from somebody who's watched a lot of my videos, you'll understand when you meet me in person how it is. Like, I don't get excited and go, oh, hi, oh, great to see you. Like, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, great seeing you. I'm gonna get back to work now. I don't want fame. I don't do YouTube as a job. I do YouTube as a way of giving back to people who kind of started where I was, who didn't have direction when they were trying to figure out a lot of the things that I'm explaining to you for free on this channel. That's what makes it fun for me. I don't do this for fame. I don't do this for popularity. Again, if you meet me, it'll become a little bit more obvious because, like, once I finally get that quote-unquote popularity, when I'm in a room of 10 people, they're like, wow, that's the guy I met on I saw the videos. I was like, oh, like, I start to retreat and want to run away because that's just weird to me. It's not a jealousy thing. It's really about the fact that this uphill battle that we're fighting, where we are seen as such degenerates that we suggest on a forum that perhaps your charger is not working because there's lint in the charge port from your jeans pocket, that our posts are instantly deleted because we are seen as that subhuman scum. We're seen as degenerates. We're seen as garbage. And the reason we're seen as garbage is because of a lot of the crap that's out there that other people have said, that other people have done that was not right. So when somebody, again, when you have a 2.4 million subscriber person promote a myth that is going to cause some idiot somewhere to think that that's the right thing to do and parrot it, that's going to kind of there's going to be a backlash on us even further. Like, I try to take it one step forward to show that we are a community of forward-thinking people, that we are a community of people who can actually be trusted to responsibly produce a positive result when it comes to repairing products on a regular basis. When I try to do things like, again, with that whole capacitor thing, like when I try to show you how the independent repair community has managed to fix devices that Apple themselves could not figure out, like that, all of that work will get undone by one person at the top spewing a myth. And all of that stuff gets undone when I see one person on a forum talking about iCloud unlocking. All of that stuff gets undone when I see one person on a forum laughing and saying, why would I tell the customer that that's in recall or warranty when they didn't know and I can get $200 for it? The reason that I care so much about how our industry looks and that we are taken seriously and that we do a good job is because being taken seriously is going to be what leads us towards opportunity. It's what's going to lead us towards the next thing. It's what's going to lead us to being able to one day, again, call me crazy, I have a dream that one day when I need a chip to repair a board, that I go on some website, I type that website name in, I hit add to cart, and after I hit add to cart, in a few days, that chip arrives at my door and I can just use it. And it's not some crap that some guy in Asia took a little flathead screwdriver to out a dead motherboard and went crank and ripped it off and sent it to me. No, it's something that's actually good because it came from the real manufacturer of the component from their new and good batch. That is something that I like. Why can't we do that? Like, why is it that at 27 years old that I still feel like I'm doing shit that I'm not supposed to? Like, I'm that kid in gym class. There was this kid, I think his name was like Joe Botomo or something in high school. He was a really popular guy, and he would sell Gatorade in the gym locker rooms, and he would sell, he would buy this shit for 20 or 33 cents, and he would sell it to everybody for $1. And So in the summertime, when half of the water fountains in the school were not working and the vending machines weren't working, right before gym class, he'd tell everybody Gatorade. The kid would probably, every fucking gym class he was sitting down there, he would go. He would be late to all his classes. Not that it fucking mattered anyway with how much money he was making. He'd sit there. He'd sell his 10, 20, or 30 Gatorades. He'd make his 20 or 30 bucks. Next period, he'd come down, make his 20 or 30 bucks. The kid was probably making $150, $300 a day as a fucking 15, 16-year-old. But he was doing something cool, but he was doing something that he probably wasn't supposed to do. Something but the thing here is that the point is that, like, why is it that at 27 years old with a business license, as a taxpayer, as somebody who honestly puts in a good effort to do legitimate business, that I feel that I'm made to feel like I'm doing something even more wrong than the guy selling Gatorades in gym class, making his way to class late, probably not paying taxes on it. You know what I'm saying? It's just it's bullshit, and I'd like that to change.